Next speaker, we've got on with us Joan C. Smith. And Joan, you and I actually met through the Job Seeker
Yes.
Friday calls, the Friday VIP Job Seeker office hours, which we do every Friday from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I will drop the link into chat in just a second, but if you go to mellermarketing.com/Friday VIP, you can register. So here's the backstory of how I selected Joan for the calls. I was looking for individuals who have a background in, I have career coaches, career strategists, we had LinkedIn trainers, we had Kenneth Lang, we have image people. And I said, I want to find somebody who works in like an HR role to bring on. So I literally went into my LinkedIn, went into the search bar at the top, put in some search filters, HR and different keywords. And I might have put career coach, I'm not sure. But I put in first level connections and I'm like, Joan's a part of our group. Let's bring her on and we'll have a great conversation here today. So for those of you who haven't met you yet, Joan, could you tell us a little bit about who you are and kind of where you are right now in your journey?
Okay, certainly. So thank you for having this amazing live-a-thon. This has been so good. I've enjoyed all the speakers. I've been on all day. I am an HR professional and I'm in career transition, just like most of the people here. I'm open to roles like in people ops, human resource specialist, learning and development, and training and development.
Mhm.
Also, because you talked about side hustles and you've been edging me on, I also started as a side hustle coaching is I'm a CEO and founder of Premier Career Coaching, and I'll be coaching mid-career professional women. So I'm looking forward to growing that a little on the side as well.
Wonderful. And there was actually one more thing from your profile. I was looking for, different types of topics. And I think when I saw HR, it led me to your profile and your profile. Let me actually show your profile real quick as we're talking about this. I'm going to make it a little bit larger too. So it says LinkedIn top voices, top contributors for instructional design, and then training and development, learning. And so there's a large focus on training and development. And when I reached out, we were kind of chatting back and forth about what should we talk about. And I said, "How about this whole, like, learning new skills?" Because that's
Yes.
part of what you've had to do through your career journey is learning new skills. So we're gonna talk today about the importance of learning new skills through training while you are in career transition and where to find some of that training. So let's start off, I guess, with a little bit of your own journey. I mean, when you're going through your career transition and kind of where you are right now, why do you think it's important for people to pick up on new skills while they're in career transition?
Well, it's very important because the thing is, and I know some of the speakers have already touched on it, but it's important to stay relevant. And so,
Mhm.
as Joey said, and he was a little blunter, really, we can have a lot of experience, but nobody really cares about the experience and these types of things. They are looking for how we can benefit them. And one of the key ways that we can benefit or show value to an organization is get training in that targeted industry that we're looking to pivot into, or if we're already in the industry, but maybe we're laid off or unemployed, we need to sort of ramp our skills up to show that potential employer that we are relevant in that particular. So that's why training is so important because we want to be relevant. We don't want to be 5, 10 years behind. Because that's
Mhm.
one of the main reasons why it's so important. And there's so many options. I know we'll get into that in the conversation. That's conversation as to how we can do that without going broke either.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's an important part because when you're in career transition, you're on a limited budget, maybe you've got a severance, maybe you've got some unemployment. You definitely should be applying for your unemployment benefits because you pay into the system, so you should get those out while you're in career transition. But, yeah, we want to be careful that we're managing our budget as we're going through, and there's a lot of expensive training options out there, and there's one-to-one coaching, and there's programs, but there's a lot of free resources that are out there as well. So talk to us about, where can people go to start to look for some training and resources that are maybe low cost or even free?
Okay. Before I do that, I want to also say that before they do that, if they don't already, because some people may want to, they may be in an industry that they're trying to get out of and they want to
Sure.
go to something that's more their passion. They need to have a strategy because you don't want to just willy-nilly your training, especially when you have a free window. So with that said, I would say some of the places that you can go and you can get previews, LinkedIn Learning, and the way
Mhm.
that you can get some of that training free, well, there are some free mini courses, but you can also do the 30-day trial premium. But
Hmm.
again, when you do that, you need to have a strategy and you need to, what I do or what I've done is I've done a search, like you just said, how you search my profile, did that
Mhm.
in LinkedIn Learning. came up with some trainings. I saved those because you can see how long the trainings will last. And then you can get a trial premium for 30 days. And then you can take as much as you can within that 30 days. And of course, you can put the certificate on your LinkedIn profile. You could put it on your resume, but you also want to document that elsewhere. You don't want to just depend on LinkedIn or their platform to do that. So that's one.
Sure.
The first one that's inexpensive is Udemy. And the thing
Mhm.
that I like about them is they have frequent sales, because like 3 years ago, I wasn't working. And when I first started coming to your 2.5, 3 years ago, I was out of work for 6 months. But per person in another career group that I was involved in said, well, hey, they're having a sale on such and such. And even though I wasn't working, I was able to go into my savings and get maybe 2 or 3 trainings that were like maybe over 70 or 80% off. The good thing that I like about Udemy is that they give you very generous previews. You can get 3 to 6 previews. And I don't mean like a few seconds. I mean anywhere between 5 to 15 minute previews. So
Really? That's
you'll
great.
know what you're getting into before you even sign up. Okay. And
Mm.
then another one, HubSpot is a good one, but I know HubSpot is more industry specific, more on the social media side and marketing side. But
Hmm.
again, as Diana alluded to, and some of the others, even if that's not your industry, we still, as you know, career pivoters, career transitioners, we still need to be, quote, social media savvy, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Facebook, TikTok. So taking courses from HubSpot would be very beneficial as well.
Mm.
And then also I'm looking here, also Coursera. That's another good one that has free ones. But then sometimes you have to watch some of the ones because there may be ads with it. So just make sure you're getting something free or inexpensive. So
Is it
LinkedIn,
Coursera or Coursera?
Coursera, yes,
Okay, I
Coursera.
want to make
Sorry
sure
about
'cause
that.
I'm like it might. They're all so closely sounding. Like there's Buzzsprout and HubSpot, and there's all these. Like I put HubSpot on there, and then
Yes.
Coursera was the other one. And these are free or low cost or
They're low cost. Some of them are free, like a LinkedIn Learning. Again, if you do the premium, you can get as many, but you need to have a plan, like I said, you
Mhm.
know. And also when you do these trainings, post them not in your not only in feature section, but in the certificate area, certification area, and
Oh, I
then
like
do a separate post. So you want to make sure you're getting all that visibility on LinkedIn and other platforms that will allow you to do that as well.
Yeah. And I wanna just put you can do the I'm gonna put the free trial of LinkedIn Premium. I don't know if you remember Megan Vogt just from our VIP group, but she was the person who taught me if you go to your local library, and I don't know how the process works. I think you gotta go up to the reference desk and say, "We can I understand we can get access to LinkedIn Premium," and they can show you how to log in. Do you know how that works exactly? Because I
Well,
know there's a way
that's
to do
some
that.
libraries have, and I know because I'm in the DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Some of the jurisdictions have
Mhm.
it, some don't,
Okay.
because of course that's something that they pay into. But that doesn't mean you can't find free courses. Because I've seen crafting free courses on my local library, so that people that are into sewing, crocheting, knitting, and
Yeah.
that's just with the library card, and there's no limit. I mean, that's lifetime access. So even though they may not have like career related things or industry related, you may be able to get some other training. And this goes back to what Linda was saying. That type of training can sort of take the stress, de-stress you when you need a break from the job search. So
Yeah.
I would ask definitely the library, because, or just go on their website. But if you don't see on the website, ask anyway, because that doesn't mean that they don't offer it just because it's not listed on their website.
I knew somebody was gonna jump into comments. I'm, like, waiting for someone to say, but yeah, go through your library card, it sounds like. Just go
Yes.
up to the reference desk or go up to the front desk at your library and say, "Hey, I hear we can get LinkedIn Learning courses free." They should be knowledgeable about how to do so. And if anyone else is watching, if you can give us more specific instructions on how to do that, feel free, but, free is always a nice price to pay, right, Joan?
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
And you were talking about showcasing these training and certifications on your LinkedIn profile. I love how you said put it in your featured section, put it in your certifications. But talk to me too, like what if you apply for a job and one of the requirements of the job is to learn some type of a it's to have experience with some type of a software or skill that you don't have. So what do you think? I mean, should we go out onto HubSpot and Udemy and try to find courses and try to learn our way through it and then add that to our LinkedIn? What do you think about that?
I would say yes, but also let's say it may be a timing issue. Let's say you're applying and the deadline is, let's say, tomorrow,
Mhm.
and you should still apply, but maybe go out there to HubSpot, since we use that as an example. sign up for that free course. And then when you get the screening interview, you address that and you can say, hey, my previous employer or my current employer, that's not a focus that they're doing. However, so you want to turn that around to let that potential employer know, or hiring manager know, that, hey,
Mhm.
this is the training that I signed up for. I expect to be done within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And
Mhm.
when I did, that's going to, ramp me up or level me up and have me teed up for this role. So you want
Mm.
to let them know that you've already been proactive to search out the specific training that you'll need to perform in that particular role.
I think that's a really good point. And sometimes in the Friday calls, I'll coach people. We'll pull up profiles and I'll ask them questions. And a lot of times when we're in career transition, we have a tendency of like over explaining or playing things down or talking about what we don't have versus what we do have. So if, for example, an employer said, I see that, as you're aware, we need you to have Canva. I'm just making it up because it's the name of a
Yeah.
software. I'm thinking Canva is a part of your experience. I'm not seeing that you use that in your past employer, but you mentioned that you took a course in that. Is that right? So do you have experience using Canva? And I've always tell people to respond to that to say, yes, I've completed training on using Canva and I'm starting to use it on different, projects for my own personal use. And I'm a quick learner. I learned the software and now I just need the opportunity to put it into place. So yes, I have. Are you comfortable with that approach, Joan, or what would you add to that?
Yes, and also, like in your case, if you've done like if you've done, for me, I've used Canva for presentations. I can use that and say, hey, I've done this
Mhm.
presentation. I've got a brief one. I've got one that's longer. More than happy to forward that to you so you can take a look and see how I've used Canva. Or,
Mhm.
even if you have time to do something mini, to showcase, it doesn't have to be anything big. It could be something 5 or 10 minutes where you can pull some graphics. I know Sue talked about some things earlier on that, and just pull that together where they can see real quickly that you, or forward it after. Again, it depends, the timing depends, or forward it after, or if you get a
Mhm.
second interview, forward it like maybe the day of, a few hours before, so they can have a chance to glance at it a little bit before the interview.
That's a good point. And a lot of times on the job application, or rather on the job posting, Joan, it will say like, here are the requirements for the position and the technology. By the way, I want to comment. We're getting a little bit of feedback in the background, and I'm not sure. It looks like you might be joining us from a mobile device, from a phone. Is that right, Joan?
Yes, but I also
Okay.
have I can turn my LinkedIn live off too. I have
Okay,
that
that might be
enabled.
helpful. And, like, for me, I always feel like I never make mistakes. I have learning experiences, and I always do this on the Friday phone calls too. If there's something that I feel is a little distracting to me, I'm like, let's address it. Let's figure out what's going on there. And we are all working in a very different environment nowadays. A lot of us are working from home, and sometimes our home Wi-Fi doesn't work, and we've got to use our. I mean, you could have a situation where you have to take a job interview on a Zoom call, and you've got to work around with that technology. And if there are little hiccups and issues that are happening, like address it so people aren't like, what's that clicking noise going on? And I did see one person in comments saying, I'm hearing some clicking in the background. It could just be the connection. So please bear with us. Um, I could have Joan mute and unmute as we're trying to do this. I don't want to do that because we're trying to keep this kind of conversational. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. Yes, we're aware. We're going to try to just barrel through if that's okay. We've got maybe another 5 to 10 minutes and we'll be shifting gears into another topic. But um, we're here right now talking about the importance of learning new skills through training while you are in career transition. And Joan's done a lot of this herself, having gone through and learning new skills and new software. And we're talking about where to find some of the software, both free and low cost, even like where to find what you should learn, looking on the job posting and seeing what are the skills and requirements they're asking so that you can start putting that into place. So when they ask the question during an interview, do you have experience with XYZ software or skills? You can say, yes, I've started learning it and I'm looking forward to getting the opportunity to put that into place. Um, I want to give this back to you again, Joan, because I know that you might have some additional ideas on learning new skills or just the
Yes.
importance of picking up new skills.
Yes, certainly. Thank you. I would say for those of, because some of us on the live here are,
Mhm.
we're transitioning and we're working, but we're not in our ideal career. We're in a, what I call a bridge job, something to sort of hold us over to pay the bills. What I would do, if your employer, if you're in a mid to medium size or large organization, if you haven't started, if there's any free training, and most of the larger ones do, take advantage of those as much as possible. It's all contingent on whatever the process is. Your employer approves it.
Mm-hmm.
But have a strategy. We don't want to willy-nilly this if we have free training through our employer. We want to have
Yeah.
a strategy and we want to be prepared to let that employer know why, hey, I'm looking to up level my skills because I'm interested in moving over to this department. So
Yeah.
that's a way. Now, if they don't, we're not going to, like Joey said, we're not going to get temper tantrums. We're not going to get upset. We're not going to do any of that. We're not going to depend on the employer, but we want to, if that option is there, we want to take advantage of that first. And the reason why I say that, because I would say about 99% of the training that I've done over the last 7 or 8 years, I've done on my own. I've gone to SHRM, Society of Human Resource
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
trainings on my own. I've taken my own annual leave, my own vacation. I've done all of that, conferences, webinars, all of that stuff for free because I didn't have the employer support, but I didn't let that stop me.
Right.
So, I've joined associations, SHRM, the ATD, Association of Talent Development, to be around the right people to get the right training. So we don't want to, we want the ball to be in our court. We want to control what we can. So I would say that, because you can do that. And I also want to talk about, so that's that. But
Yeah.
also, again, the strategy, I can't stress that enough because what I've seen, Brenda, and those out there, some people have the training, they'll wait till something negative happens, and then all of a sudden they want to do something, or they'll say,
Yeah.
"Oh, why my boss isn't doing this? My boss won't let me do this." Well, why are you depending on them?
Right.
I mean, okay, that happened. Let's take it the way it is. Let's take our deep breaths, de-stress from it, and do what you have to do. And then we need to move on. Well, what is the next step that I need to do to get this training if this is what I really want? We're not going to let a no stop us. And so that's a lot of what we've talked about here is mindset related.
Yeah.
We have to, shake the dust off and get our minds focused to where, okay, yes, this happened, but I'm not going to let it set me back. So look for
Yeah.
the free ones that we talked about. But if you're already in with an employer, please try to take advantage of what you can there. And Joey talked about the networking, getting on the phone with people that you
Mm-hmm.
know. Ask them if they know any free trainers. Sue comment about the library. There's, like I said, if you're in a major metropolitan area like we are, some of
Yeah.
the counties, neighboring counties, give free cards. Some of them cost, but then I've got
Mm-hmm.
3 library cards from 3 different counties, and
Mm-hmm.
they're all free, and I do
Yeah.
use them. So yeah,
And I
those are
think
some
it's
things that
important,
we
like,
also
I mean,
have.
I put on here, join professional associations and see what member training they have available. Like a lot of times it's like, it's so obvious once you say it, but I never thought about that. I work in marketing, look up the American Marketing Association or look at organizations like Together Digital, or, I talked about Toastmasters, which is a public speaking group. And that's another platform for training, very low cost, by the way.
Yes,
But there's a lot of, and you mentioned SHRM, which is the Society for
of
Human
human
Resource
resource
Managers.
management.
So
Yes,
their training might be steered more towards HR. But by the way, go to HR events because there are recruiters and hiring managers and HR professionals that are at those events. I think there's so many gems that are inside of there. And as I was looking down, because I'm writing some notes, because our next segment, I'm going to talk about my key takeaways from all of our speakers from that. And I didn't want to forget yours. And the other people, I was pulling myself off camera so they couldn't see me looking down. But I don't want you to feel like I was distracted from what you were sharing with
no,
us here, Diana.
not at
Excuse
all.
me. All right. So you've talked a little bit about some free training and resources. We've given out different organizations to look at where we can look up those organizations and resources. Let's talk about, when do you think it makes sense to pay for training? When, in your opinion, when should you be making an investment? When is it important versus, is free good enough? What are your thoughts there?
Okay. So sometimes some of the free training is like introductory. So
Mhm.
if it's a situation where you feel as if you've gleaned from that, you've put it out there that you've got, but you feel like you need more, or maybe it was, depending on where you are in your career, maybe yes, it was a good refresher. Yes, I've been out of this area for a while, but I need something more advanced. That's where you may want to look into something more specific or something that's cost. What I would advise is, if you can, get something that's going to have lifetime access. Because some of the places,
I
which
like
I
that.
don't blame them what they're doing now, and I don't blame them, they'll have access. But if they don't have access, like you have a longer period, where people can access it. Because if I get a training and I only have maybe 2 weeks to 2 weeks to look at it afterwards, that's not going to work for me because
Yeah.
life may get in the way. So if you can get a lifetime situation, that's ideal, because you
Yeah.
never know, even when you get in that ideal career, that dream job, you never know when you're going to have to go back. You're going to run into a situation. Hey, my boss wants me to do this. Yeah, we covered that in the training. I can go back to this module and look this up, or I can go in the group and ask that. So you never know. So again, if it's beyond the level of the scope of what you've already learned,
Hmm.
if look at the access. If you have access to not just the videos, but maybe handouts, PDFs, things that you can, as you grow, and grow and evolve. So that's what I would say.
That's awesome. So we're gonna change gears a little bit here. We're gonna maybe open the conversation up to questions and comments from the audience. And I'm already seeing a few that are coming in here. And let me just take the first banner off so you can see comment below if you have a question or a comment for Joan. And let's just pretend the sounds that we're hearing is popcorn popping and there's popcorn being created in
Yeah,
the
I'm so
background.
sorry. Yeah, I
It's
heard it a little earlier too, right before I came on. So I'm like, I didn't know
That's
if it was me
okay.
or
And
what. So I apologize.
sometimes there's tech gremlins out there, Joan, and we can't figure. So let's just pretend the popcorn popper's making popcorn, people, and we're at the popcorn part of the afternoon. And we're just gonna
Yes.
push on through. It's all good. It's all good. There was a comment made from Jeffrey, so I want to pull this up. Jeffrey, hey, how are you doing, sir? Nice to see you. And Jeffrey says there are meetup groups that focus on specific tech learn and networking at the same time. I think that's a really great tip. There's a lot of networking groups out there that kind of also have dual purpose. And Joan, I don't know if you've attended any of these yourself or if you want to talk about the importance of networking as it relates to training.
I have. Thank you, Jeffrey, for bringing that up. Yes, their meetup groups are very good. Some of them do have like a small cost because they have administrative things that they have to handle, or if they're renting a room or something. But that's a great idea. Searching those out and getting on their list, because I am on a list for several meetup groups. So when they have an event, whether it's virtual or whether it's in person, I do get the notification and I can sign up if it's something that's relevant or something that I'm able to attend. So that's a great idea.
Mhm.
Some places aren't, or some not some places, some industries aren't meeting back up yet. I know some of the groups of the areas that I'm interested in are kind of dormant, but I still stay on their list because you never know when they're going to resurrect the group back up. And
That's true.
so as long as they
Hmm.
haven't shut it down, then I'm going to stay on it. So that's a great idea. So thank
Yeah.
you for bringing that up.
All right. And here's another one. This was maybe a little bit of a Wilson comment where it's a little bit of a taller comment on here. But Wendy, thank you so much for your comment, Wendy. Wendy says industry organizations like PMI, SHRM, etc., have low and no cost options. Also, you can look at some technical companies, and many will run specials and provide free courses. To your point, Joan, they run throughout the year. Maybe they don't have it now, but they have things that are running up later. And sometimes they don't give you an official certification. Sometimes there's a certificate of completion, but they do give you some of that knowledge. Did you want to add anything on to that, Joan?
Yes, I agree. And Sherm is a good one. If you're a member now, it is. They did recently go up in February. So,
Yeah.
but sometimes they do offer free events like webinars and things like that that you can go on. Like Wendy said, you may not get a certificate, but you can certainly put that on your resume or put that on your LinkedIn that you attended, and it
Mhm.
always looks good. Yeah. So thank
That's
you
good.
for that. That's
Oh,
very good.
this one's even taller. We're gonna have to look over the very, very top. I'll pull this down as soon as I read this. But Linda says if you are and Linda, this is not a criticism of you. This is a criticism of StreamYard. I wish they'd show this differently. But it says Linda says if you are unemployed, underemployed, you should also check for WIOA grants. I'm not sure what that means, but if you could spell that out,
We
please,
are.
Linda, that'd be great.
I am.
To cover specific training needed for the job you want. There's a federal grant administered through your local unemployment office. Not all programs courses are covered, but it's a resource to check out. So thank you for that advice, Linda. Because yeah, there might be grants out there that are available for people
Yeah,
to.
I was going to say I used to work in employment services. They used to call it the Workforce Investment Act, and that now they changed the name of a few years back. But
Yep.
she's right. The only caveat to some of it is you do have to either be drawing unemployment or have drawn unemployment. But
Right.
it's still worth a try. You never know because those are state funded or federal funded, and they do have trainings as well. So thank you for
Yeah.
adding that, Linda. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And hey, if you don't ask, the answer is always no, right? And if you don't tap
Yes,
into the resources, you're not going to get the benefit of the resources. So yeah.
exactly.
All right. So I think people liked my popcorn comments because Sue's like, I want popcorn. Meryl says popcorn for all. I found this really great popcorn. It's this company called Quinn, Quinn, and they have this rosemary and sea salt butter. They're so good, and they're like natural blends. Now I'm gonna get popcorn. I'm gonna probably have some popcorn tonight to celebrate a great event here. And Laura, thank you for, Laura saying, this is an example of how to keep going. And I think this can apply to you as a job seeker as well. How do you keep going when there's a tech hiccup that happens? You address it. Let your interviewer know if there's a tech hiccup that's happening. Like sometimes you'll go into an interview and your Wi-Fi goes out. Let them know. I mean, get on a better Wi-Fi connection. Sometimes you can't control when the cable company accidentally cuts a line or when there's a winter storm or things. But I think you just need to allow in this case, I want to allow you, my audience, to know that, yeah, we're aware of it. It's the popcorn maker, you guys. It's the popcorn maker making the noises, and you got to just kind of roll with it. So
Yes.
on that note, Joan, I want to pull up your LinkedIn profile up on screen, and let me pull up your LinkedIn URL as well. I think there was someone looking for you, and he got poor David Mills was like, where's Joan on LinkedIn? And everybody was like messaging him, and he's like, okay, I got it, I found her already on here. As I pull this up, Joan, are you open to connecting with individuals that visit your profile?
Yes, I am. Thank you. I am open. Just if you could leave a quick note, a couple have already had, because I've been on the day. Just let me know that you were in this virtual event, and I'll be happy to connect also. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. And if Joan, if people wanted to work with you, do you work with individuals one-on-one, or do you have any resources or anything that you'd like to share with us?
Yes, I have a resource that I include. It's called Jumpstart Your Job Search, and it's 2 or 3 underutilized sites that are free that people may not think about that they can use to get industry research. Because even with the training, there's other free trainings. Even the federal government offers free trainings on different sites like dol.gov. They offer free training, and some of the other federal sites, a lot of it that we don't even know about because you don't hear it mentioned a lot. So I have a little resource for that, and I did include that, and also I link Premier Career Coach in a Facebook group that can be followed. It's not a group like a private group, but it's a business page that can be liked or followed if you'd like to follow me there. And then I also included my Calendly link to anybody who wants to do like a career chat. So all of that will be available.
Well, that's so generous. And by the way, I had the wrong URL. I don't know if anyone noticed that. I noticed it. I looked down and like, wait, that's Diane Stevens. It's not Joan C. Smith. So I got that corrected. So make sure that you visit Joan's profile if you're interested in connecting with her. Joan, thank you so much for joining, and thank you for sharing all those resources. I will include those in the playback area for our folks